All right, next hole off my 2-on-1 that I use, we're gonna trip that far ankle, right? An inside ankle pick. I call it inside because I'm taking my hips inside, right? So hip to hip, we're here. Inside hip, I'm coming in. Very, very similar to a hip toss, like you would do in, like a Greco or Judo kind of hip toss, where we're loading our hips up and we're picking them up onto our hip. A lot of coaches teach this with like kind of a hamstring rape, right? Which this is not wrong, just a little bit different. The reason why I don't use this one, and I kind of adapted it to that hip, is because I'm short, and it gets me to where I need to be quick, because I'm wrestling bigger, longer guys. It puts me right where I need to be to explode through them. All right, so I take my 2-on-1. I'm gonna step in and use my butt cheek almost like a lift or an elevator. Right, I'm just gonna bump him with my butt, and I want to put all of his weight on that foot. Now, have to level change, right? If I just reach down and try and pick up his ankle, he's gonna walk off, and I'm gonna lose it. So, as important it is to get all the weight on that ankle, have to hold it down to the mat. Right, so I take my 2-on-1, right, I do my bump, and I level change. Now, I like to step right behind the heel, and I try and curl my toe around the foot, because if I can't hold him there, at the very least I can reap it, right? I could pull it. But ideally for me, I want to come down and collect it, and shelf it on the way down. This could be a fall. This is a good opportunity, especially after a hard 3 or 4, we used to call it 3.5 minutes of hand fighting. Like, anybody can hold up for 3.5 minutes, but at the 3.5 minute mark, they're gonna start fading. This could be one of those trips where you wind up with the fall, right? So I'm here, I'm gonna take a big bump inside, I'm gonna lift him up to one side, and I'm gonna hook in and step. My weight has to be coming down so he can't step out, and now I'm gonna collect it. Drive him all the way down to here, shelf, right? If I can hold him here, I'm gonna get my count. If he switches sides, I'm gonna shelf the other side, right? Same way I would finish an inside trip, right? As soon as I'm ready, I'm gonna step down and go right to my turn. And I know he's fatigued from the hand fighting, I'm looking for the fall, right? Good collar, shoulder on top. Not going hip to hip, I'm passing him. I'm gonna bump and trip and bump, right? If I can keep this, I'm good, right? Always shelf whatever side he's turning to. If he switches to the other side, I'm gonna switch. Once I got my count, I'm gonna bring my heel in, and step over, and now I'm in a turn. Keeping him on his back, looking for the fall. If you lose it, same finishing principles as the other. Head on one side, hips on the other, head up, hips down. All right? Bump. Yep, just finish your shot. That's what I want. I want to drop and lift. Drop, lift, step, level change. If he bounced out and walked away from me, should be in almost a full squat. My legs would be, when I squat, very important that he comes with me. I don't want all the weight on that foot. Now he's stuck here. Take off the collar, hip goes in, catch, lose it, take your points. All right, we're gonna go 2-on-1, we're gonna step over the leg, and when I do this, again, 2-on-1, it's easy for me. I'm controlling him. I don't have to worry about him attacking me as much because I got his hands separated, right? So what I'm gonna do is, I'm just gonna step around and drape my leg inside. And I wanna put my heel right where his calf is, right? And I'm gonna be able to control his leg that way, All right, I'm gonna drape my leg around and put my heel right where his calf is. And then all I'm gonna do with this heel is put the sole of my shoe to the ceiling, parallel with the ceiling. So I'm draped tight, I'm gonna put the sole of my shoe parallel to the ceiling. I'm gonna pinch my legs the same way you would on a single leg. Legs should be pinched tight. All right. Drape, sole of the shoe, pinch your legs. All right, now his hips are trapped, my hips, all right? And then the upper body is also very important. All I'm gonna do with the upper body is put the hand on the mat. All right, as I put the hand on the mat, I'm gonna hold it on the mat with the bottom hand, and the other hand's gonna go to the hip. As I take it off, I'm gonna drape, pinch, come to the hip. Now, for me, if it's freestyle, I would probably go straight to my gut wrench lock or step back around to my crotch lift lock. Right? If it's folk style, depends on what you wrestle is how you finish it. If you like to put the boot in, you can jump up and put your boot in. If you want to just break them down and work for the top, you break them down and work for the top. Here, I'm going to drape over, put the sole of my shoe on the mat, come up to the hip. Could also seat belt, right? So I could go gut wrench, seat belt, crotch lift. Seat belt, gut wrench, crotch lift. All right, we're kind of meeting him with our whole body and taking what he gives us and making him feel like it's on the fight. But as soon as I could lift this up off the mat, the fight's kind of done. Wrap. Wrap. Boot could come in, trap arm gut, or crotch lift. If he raises up, and all we're gonna do is lock two hands on one leg. So I feel him really raise up. I'm gonna lock two hands on one leg. I can't take him forward. A lot, very easy thing. I can break his posture. Break his posture. In a freestyle scenario, crotch lift is good, especially if he's holding that kind of bear crawl turtle where they don't award the points yet. Start rocking forward, make him think I'm coming here, and then right away. Quick step. All right, rocking forward, hanging. I'm gonna drive my knee in, make a platform, lift. All right, big lift. If I wanna go seatbelt, I'm gonna pinch my knee so I don't lose him. Come up. Stab grip, grab your own hand, drive him down. Always transition back to single leg. All right, off the 2-on-1, we're gonna Uchimata that leg out and wind up just in our snap down. Right? You see guys have a lot of success with this. Had a lot of success with it, been playing with it now. The key that I do with this is I point my heel the direction I'm gonna go, right? So if I know I'm gonna do this, I try and keep my heel pointed in, right? Now, if he squares up to me and I can't hit it, well then I go into some other offense, right? Go into some other offense, post and trip, or hip to hip, or snap. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my 2-on-1 off. I'm gonna hold the arm tight to my chest, very tight to my chest, so I could bump him forward with the arm, pulling my elbow back, keeping it very tight and secure. I'm gonna step inside with my hip, right, just to here. Now I'm gonna back step and just reap the leg. Should wind up on the hip, under the armpit, and look to lock or anchor. Right. One more time. Take my 2-on-1, keep it tight. I'm gonna step in and back step, right? That loads my hips up. A lot of times you'll see guys jump in, and I don't know, something about that motion, it's not wrong, but I always had trouble figuring that out. Right? I've seen guys jump in and trip both. I've seen guys jump in and hit it, but it seems like, for whatever reason, this motion, always, I wind up losing the arm. He'll either stiff arm my face real hard and pull his arm out, or just bash me and push my head back, right? So anytime I felt like it was a little sneakier, just to hold my heel where I needed it, and either move him or step back myself. Right, now I'm gonna pull my elbow hard. If I wasn't gonna use my legs, I'd treat this the same way I would treat a wood chopping motion with an axe. I'm gonna try and take his head to the mat, hard as I can. Wham, right? At the same time, I'm gonna try and put his foot in the ceiling. All right, hide my heel where I need it to be, and I could kind of wait here and see what's gonna happen. If it's there for me, I'm just gonna pivot on this foot. All right, pivot on this foot so my heel is now pointed in the direction that I could reap. I'm gonna wood chop really hard, and I'm gonna twist. At the same time, bringing my leg up to the air. Step, make sure my shoulder's engaged. Pivot on this foot. Sometimes you might have to really pivot. In a far motion, sometimes it's just a light step. Replacing my hands, anchoring up, either spiral, lock if he goes to this knee, maybe I wind up on the ankle. All right, so wherever your anchor hands are, after the scramble, make sure we're pinching our elbows, anchoring up, and putting them on the far hip, so we're not racing with them. All right, back step, anchor up. So next one we're going to do is just a sticky foot, and you could hit this from everywhere. Like I said, 2-on-1 is great because your backhand's already there. You can hit this from the collar tie, but today we'll show it from the 2-on-1. All right. So I take my 2-on-1 off, right, and all I'm going to do is just pick up this foot with my foot, and then I'm going to reach down and pick it up with my hand. So it's just going to go foot to hand, right. I'm just using the foot as a vehicle to get it up. Right, and I'm finishing my single leg. All right, from a collar tie, same thing, it would look like this. I'm just picking it up and grabbing it, winding up with a single leg. We call it a sticky foot because you're touching it and you're bringing it up to your hand. Right, couple things that why it would be real good to hit would be if we're losing the 2-on-1. Right, if the 2-on-1's really tight and I could get his foot up, well then I could go hip to hip. Right, I'm going to take him backwards, I'm going to score. But let's say he's sweaty and I'm losing the 2-on-1, but I can just get to that ankle. This is a very good time to hit it. Ideally, on the single leg, if I could get up to my armpit, is the best because he has a shoe on. Can't kick out. So I'm going to go pee on the ceiling, trip, and circling away from the funk. Coming up on him. If I can't get it up to my armpit, well then I'm going to track it down just like I would any other single leg. Right? If I just wind up picking it up, then I wind up here. Always backhand on top, shoulder in the pocket, and then I can start to use my feet again. I could back trip, I can step on the foot. So even I'm using my feet all the way through the attack. Right? Yeah, uppercut, trip, circling back, away from the funk. Find that foot, I'm just gonna catch it and pick it up. Now again, if I have the 2-on-1 really tight, maybe I don't need to. Maybe I attack the 2-on-1, but if he's pulling my hand and he's starting to beat me here, if I can just get to the leg. All right, I'm gonna take advantage of that. Same thing from the collar tie. Got my good strong collar tie. If I really could move him and I could get him up, but maybe I could just keep attacking the trip. But I feel like his balance is starting to recover. Well, then I'm gonna reach down and collect it. All right, backhand on top, shoulder in the pocket. I like to have all my feet facing the same direction if I can. And then I get trip or step. If he steps off, well, then maybe I can pull back out to my armpit again. Uppercut, going away from the front. This hold is off the 2-on-1. It's very effective. It's very simple. And all I'm gonna do is, because I have a 2-on-1, I'm just gonna lean into him. And now, like, there's a lot of different ways to do this, but if I look like I'm stepping on his foot, you could get some headaches with referees or whatever. So lean into him and keep your foot underneath you and just step on it and level change. Again, these holds work a lot later in the match. His feet are heavy, his footwork's not as strong, right? I see the foot there, I'm just gonna lean over it. Lean over it, I'm gonna step. All right, when I step, I wanna put all my weight down. It's very effective in wrestling shoes. I'm gonna put all my weight down, and I'm just gonna keep leaning. Lean it, I wanna extend him from his foot. I'm gonna take his head and his upper body away from his foot. You see this hold a lot. If guys start squaring up and attacking this elbow, right? Sometimes you could even grab both of them. Grab both of them and step. You could mix it in with the other ones. Maybe you're looking to reap and you feel like that leg's way back. Maybe you can't reach it, like if he pulls that leg way back. So then you know that that front leg's there. Same thing before, as our hip inside trip. I want to make sure that I level change. If I just step, he's going to pull that foot out, right? So I want to make sure that he's got weight on that foot and there's nowhere for him to go. If he disappeared right now, I should almost be in a full squat with all my weight driving down like a nail into his foot, nailing that foot onto the mat. And next step. Very effective hold, very sneaky. Maybe you look to trip and pulls that leg back. Just step on it. Anytime someone's keeping this leg away from you, you know where it is. It's gonna be there. I'm gonna push with my shoulder into his shoulder in that same wood chopping motion, level change. All right, foot sweep from underhook. It's very similar to a 2-on-1. We're still controlling his upper body. This hand's gonna help you probably keep it on an anchor. You can go from the collar, go from the wrist, or the inside side. But we got one underhook. All right. Now, different than like an outside in trip or one from the collar. When I foot sweep from the underhook, I gotta move the guy. It's more of probably a traditional foot sweep, where we're not necessarily picking the foot up. We're more keeping the foot there, and we're pulling with our underhook. All right, when I pull with my underhook, because I'm under, I'm pretty safe. I like to foot sweep to this side. right? There's a bunch of reasons for that, but the main one is I like the foot sweep to this side. Now that doesn't mean that you can't foot sweep to this side, but the problem is from here, for me personally, I feel like it's easier for him to attack me because I don't have that underhook on this side. If I feel like the foot sweep's not there and he tries to attack me, I know I got an easy way to split his hands. Just plant my foot and lift my shoulder. All right, the other thing it does for me is it sets up all my underhook offense if I don't get the foot sweep. Right, so whatever underhook offense that you like, a foot sweep is a great setup for it. All right, it's very low risk, different than a throw where I'm locking in where I could be thrown to. I'm keeping my hips out, just gonna step across, and we take what we call is a cheat step. All right, very important detail to scoring successfully from an underhook. Because I gotta move him, if I step in and try and trip him, I don't wanna pull him into my chest. Right, if I pull him into my chest, he's gonna knock me off my feet. Right, I don't wanna get knocked off my feet because I'm putting myself on one leg. So I take a little cheat step, and it's an unathletic motion, but without a partner, I'm just gonna turn my hip just a little bit. Just a little turn. I'm gonna point my toe to where my hips can open up. So now, instead of just pulling into myself, I can open up that much further. All right, a good drill when practicing this with your partners to get the feel for it is to don't trip. You should be able to pull and really move him. It's an explosive movement. You should really make sure my underhook's tight enough. Now when I step and pull, I really move him all the way over here. All right, and with that same motion, I step, I'm gonna pull, my elbow comes up to the ceiling, and I'm gonna look, right? So from this angle, I step, I pull, and I'm gonna look. I wanna look where I wanna take him, and that's gonna commit my hips. No matter how hard I pull, if I'm looking at where I'm gonna trip, my hips don't fully commit. But the second I turn my head and I look, it drives my hips forward and uses my whole body, every inch of it, and most of my power in my hips. So don't worry, you know, if you have his underhook and you have it tight, you know underneath his shoulder is his body. And you know underneath his body is his legs. So I don't have to see the foot to know that it's there. A lot of times I'll even just put my chin on my hand, right? And I'm tied up over here, and that does two things. It doesn't let him see my feet either. So I'm crowding him with my body. I'm making sure it's tight. Right, I'm gonna take a little cheat step. I'm gonna pull real hard, block the foot. All right, basically the same way you trip someone as a kid, right? His upper body's walking this way and he doesn't see me and I catch this foot. It doesn't work because I caught the foot. If he was standing still and I just picked up his foot, right? He could just stand here all day. What makes it work is his body's already going this way, right? His body's going this way. It can't stop. He doesn't have time to send the message from his brain that his foot can't come before his upper body takes it there. Same thing on this. I have to move this and block that, right? Cheat step, whatever my anchor hand is, it could be the wrist, inside tie, collar, whatever we like here. It could be double unders. It could be over and under, but let's just, we won't go from over and under yet. We'll just go from here. Right, cheat step, elbow high, look over my shoulder, block that foot. Head on one side, feet on the other. Head up, hips down, every finish. Occasionally you'll get lucky and you'll keep the underhook and you'll wind up pinning them, and that's even better, but no matter what, we're pulling that pin, we just want to get on top. We got a good underhook here. I step across, I'm going to take my little cheat step, my elbow's going to come high. I'm going to follow my eyes, follow my elbow, and I'm going to turn my body as hard as I can, and at the same time I'm going to drive my hips forward, and I'm looking not necessarily to catch or grab, but just to block with this. Just need it to block. I got to hold that and move this over. All right, step. All right. That's a very successful hold, especially if we spent 3.5 minutes here. All right. If you don't get it, because guys are athletic, anything you want after that is open from your underhook. That's another, the second reason why I always try and foot sweep my underhook side. So whatever your bread and butter is, you're gonna go to it. So I'm here. If I'm a knee pick guy, it's a perfect setup for a knee pick. Right, cheat step, foot sweep, there's my knee pick. Right? Those guys that are throw by guys, right? A traditional throw by, we're gonna step off the foot, we're gonna pivot. My foot sweep becomes the best setup for a throw by that there is, because you're not only moving his upper body, you're also pulling a pin on his foot. A lot of times, especially upper weight guys, you foot sweep and you don't take them all the way to their butt, they wind up on their knees. That's even better. You go right into your underhook offense when he drops to his knees. Sometimes we get snapped. Right, I foot sweep, he steps over, I know I can snap. I'm going to my underhook offense. There's no really set rules on what's available. Right? You could even single leg. Body lock. Wherever you wrestle from an underhook, it'll be there. Just commit to the foot sweep. Don't fake the foot sweep. This is where guys get in trouble. They fake the foot sweep and try and go. Really go. The harder I go for this, the easier it's going to be to attack. Wherever I go. The harder he has to hold his balance, the easier it's going to be to attack after. Once you get a good feel for this, you don't have to go foot sweep attack. You could go attack foot sweep. There's no rules on that either, right? So if I'm a knee pick guy and I can't get across, I'll come back. If he stays up, I go right back to my offense, whatever that is. Off my underhook. You chain wrestling from it here. Trip, knee pick, trip. Throw by. Alright, a lot of times we wind up with an underhook, we're attacking the guy, we wind up in an over-under, 50-50. You need offense from here, especially if you're an attack style wrestler, right? Like if I shoot a hard double leg and I can't finish, I'm gonna come up here. If I'm pushing the pace on him and I'm trying to get him to react, and the first thing I do when I'm up here is to act defensive. What do you think that he's going to want me here all the time? He's going to be pulling me up and fighting me here. So a foot sweep is a very good way to have offense here, match-ending offense. We're not necessarily commit in the same way someone who would do a lot of throws would commit, right? So we're going to wrestle with our feet out of this position. Makes it a little less risky for me, right? First one we're going to do the same one that we've been doing. I'm going to take that little pull on the tricep, our underhook, and this hand I'm going to pinch back and grab it. Now personally I like to pinch this hand, take my thumb under, so I use his arm actually against him a little bit. Alright, so I'm keeping this arm straight and pushing it this way. Right, now I don't want to let him see this, I don't want to like do a dramatic thing about it, I just pinch my arm and I take my thumb under. If we were to break apart, he should come with me. I'm pinching that tight. Right, my elbow pinches down to my lat, and I just take my thumb under. And you could grab or just keep your thumb under, however your flexibility is. This is my favorite tie for my overhook. All right, this side, I'm just gonna grab a hold of his shoulder blade. All right, and I'm gonna make that same motion again. I'm gonna take that cheat step. I'm gonna pull and lift him. All right, I'm gonna pull and lift. Bring it all the way down, right? I'm gonna block that foot, look over my shoulder, and throw, right? When I land, head on one side, feet on the other. Head up, hips down. All right. cheat step. Make it like a big, anytime we chest to chest, I'm gonna think of a big steering wheel. Right? Anytime I could turn that steering wheel, it's better for me. So my grips are gonna be turning the steering wheel. If I didn't trip, I should just be pulling them over. It's always good to drill your foot sweep without it, just to see if you're really moving the guy. Okay, so from here I pinch my elbow in. My pull is very effective to trip because he can't see what my feet are doing. Right? It's a little easier than tripping from a collar tie because you can't see which way I'm stepping or where I'm going to attack from. I take a little cheat step, I turn the steering wheel, and I block this side and I look. Even just walking through it, that when I turn my head, you see what happened to his body? It commits my hips. Alright, that back leg comes up. Now, as I hit it harder, he comes down. I like to snake my overhook hand down his body, especially if he doesn't go down all the way. And I could also use it as a post. Why I'd like to trip this way from over and under is because if I was on the other side, this arm could get trapped. But here, if he starts going this way, the other way, away from me, I could use this as a post. Especially if he's a belly-to-belly throw guy. Right? So there's two reasons what I do with this hand. If I don't get it all the way, I snake down and flatten him out. Or if he steps in there trying, go, good post over here, and a good base. Not saying that, you know, I could trip this way, but personally, I feel this is wrong. But I get nervous of getting my underhook stuck and tipped over. I'll roll through. All right, so I like this side. Underneath the arm, feel a little pressure back. Go. Good post. Push in, feel a little pressure back.